Hello students. Today we will be starting part 2 of the lesson Nature of Matter. We will be starting the section States of Matter. Depending upon the arrangement of the particles in a matter, different states of matter are recognized. So we learned that any matter is made up of number of invisibly small particles. Okay, and depending upon how these particles are arranged, different states of matter are recognized. So these particles can be arranged very close to each other or they can be far away from each other also. So depending on that, different states of matter are recognized. So let us learn about the states of matter in this section. The first activity is fill up the following table using the clues. So, required to burn. I have already filled it up for you. So, what is it that we need to burn? We can use firewood to burn. Okay, so firewood can be used for burning. So, it is firewood. Next is what is required to drink? Water is required to drink. So, the second part of the table is water. Next, to breathe. We know we need air for breathing. Therefore, the third answer is air. Now, using this, we can fill up the next part of the activity. Fill up the name of the matter filled in the above in the following table. So, we have three headings, that is solid, liquid and gas. We have also been given the characteristics of solid. So, they tell us that solids are hard materials. Okay, solids are hard materials and liquid is that which takes the shape of the container. Okay, liquid takes the shape of the container. Next, gases are those which cannot be held, which is invisible and it spreads. Also, it can be experienced. So, based on these characteristics, let us classify the three parts of the table into solid, liquid or gas. First, let us consider firewood. So, is firewood a solid, a liquid or a gas? We know that firewood is a hard material. Okay, and it does not take the shape of any container. Whatever shape it has, it retains the shape. If it was a gas, it should have been invisible. Most of the gases are invisible. Therefore, firewood is a solid. Next, we have to talk about water. So water, as we all know, it's not a hard material and it takes the shape of the container. Whatever container we pour it into, it takes that shape. Therefore, water is a liquid. We should add water into the liquid column. Next, we know we need air to breathe and air, we cannot hold air in our hands, correct? It is also invisible. Also, it spreads. So, we had this activity in the previous part where we thought about opening a fragrance bottle. When you open a scent bottle, you can smell it into your nose. So, this is because the fragrance, it would have spread to your nose. So, air is something that also spreads. Also, we have experienced wind. Whenever you stand under a fan, whenever you are in a fast moving vehicle in the window seat, you have experienced wind. So, air is a gas. We should add air into the gas column. In the next part of the activity, we have to list out the materials that we know are in the form of solid, liquid or gas. So let us start with the materials around you. I have a book on my table and we know that book is a solid because it is a hard substance. Therefore, one example of solid can be a book. So we just saw that we need water to drink and water is a liquid. So water inside your water bottle is a liquid. Then we know that we need oxygen to breathe in. We need oxygen for our respiration. In our lesson air, we had learned that oxygen is needed for respiration and we eliminate carbon dioxide during respiration. So, oxygen can be an example for a gas. Next. So, think about any other substance in front of you. You have pencil and pens, right? Pencil and pens are also hard substances, so they can be given as example for solid. Next, you all must like milk. So milk is an example for a liquid because it takes the shape of the container. Whatever container you put into, it takes that shape, correct? So milk is an example for a liquid. Next, we just learned that during respiration, we eliminate carbon dioxide, correct? So carbon dioxide can be an example for gas. The formula for carbon dioxide is CO2. I will show you how to write that. You have to write CO in a big way and 2 needs to be written under the O. So you have to write 2 under the O like this. CO2 is an example for a gas. Next, think about any other solids in front of you. So, the table and benches you sit on can also be examples for solids. Let us add that to the solid part of the table. So, a table that you sit on is an example for the solid. Next, for a liquid, you all must like coconut water, right? So, the water that you get inside coconut is an example for liquid. We can add that to the liquid part of the table. Okay, so coconut water. Next, think about any other example for gas. Next, we learned that whenever we are burning firewood, we will be able to see some smoke coming out of it, right? So this smoke is an example for a gaseous material. This is because the smoke cannot be held in our hands. We can feel it, right? So this smoke is an example for a gaseous material. Also, another property of smoke is it spreads. So these are the characteristics of gas. So smoke is an example for gaseous material. I will leave the last two parts to you. You need to think of two more solids, liquids and gases around you and add to this table. Next, we have to think and group these materials in their particular column. So we have a list of materials that are given here. We have to think and group them into their particular column. Let us start with the buttermilk. So buttermilk you prepare from curd. Buttermilk, it takes the shape of the container. So we need to add it to the liquid part of the table. So let us add buttermilk to the liquid part. Okay. Next, they have given us candle. Candle is a hard substance, correct? So candle is a hard substance. We need to add this to the solid part of the table. So let us add candle here. Okay. Even though candle is a hard solid, I will show you something interesting about a candle. So you can see here, once the candle is lit up, once the flame is on, you can see it is melting and it is flowing down. So this is a property of a liquid. Candle, when not lit up, is in form of a solid. But the wax, it liquefies or becomes a liquid when the candle flame is on, as you can see here. So, a candle is a solid, but the wax will be in liquid form if the flame is lit up. Next. The next thing to classify is curd. So we know curd is a liquid because it takes the shape of the container. So we need to add that to the liquid part of the table. Next, it's kerosene. So you have all seen kerosene. It's a blue color liquid. Okay, kerosene is also a liquid. This is a flammable liquid which can be set on fire. This is used for lots of purposes including cooking and for vehicles. Okay. Next, it's charcoal. So charcoal is a hard substance. So we need to place it under the solid part of the table. So charcoal. Charcoal is also can be used as a fuel like kerosene. Next, honey. We know honey is a liquid because it flows and takes the shape of the container. So honey is in liquid form. Next, a piece of brick. So piece of brick, like we all know, it's a solid. Solid it's because it's a hard substance. Finally, we have to classify smoke, and we had just realized that smoke is a gas because it is spreading, it cannot be held in our hands, and it can be experienced. Therefore, smoke is a gas. Now it is time for a quiz. The question is, what are the three states of matter? So, what are the three states of matter? The answer is solid, liquid, and gas. So, we learned that there are three states of matter. They are solid, liquid, and gas. So, like we just learned, matter is identified in its three forms. So, they are solids, liquids, and gases. Now, let us learn about each of these states of matter one by one. First, let us learn about solids. In solids, particles are densely and orderly arranged. So, densely arranged means there is no space between the particles. They are arranged very close to each other, and they're also orderly arranged. So, they're arranged in straight line or in a particular pattern. If you can see in the first picture that we see here, this is an example for arrangement of particles in a solid. You can see that there is not much space left between the particles. So if you can see here, the space between the particles is very less, right? And they're also arranged in straight lines. So in solids, particles are densely arranged and in an orderly pattern. The examples for solids are stones, iron, etc. So any hard particles are solids. Next, in liquids, particles are loosely arranged compared to solids. So when compared to solids, the liquid particles are loosely arranged. Loosely arranged means there is space between the particles when compared to solids. So if you can see in the second image here, there is lot of space between two particles. When compared to solids, which had very less space between two particles, particles of liquid are loosely arranged. So examples for liquids include water, milk, etc. Now, compared to solids and liquids, gases, they are very rarely arranged. Rarely arranged means there is too much space between two particles. So, as you can see in the third image here, the space between two particles is much more than solids or liquids. Examples for gases are air, smoke, etc. The next question is, think, where have you found the presence of gas? So, I will give you one example. When we are breathing, we learned that we need oxygen to breathe in, and oxygen is a gas. So, in our breathing process, we might find the presence of gas. Now, we will conduct activities to understand the characteristics of the three states of matter. The first activity is, let us conduct an experiment to know that particles are loosely distributed in liquids. So we learned that in liquids, particles are loosely distributed when compared to solids. Correct? So now let us carry out an experiment to understand that. First, take a beaker completely filled to the brim with water. Drop 3 marbles into it. Now, water spills out. Why? Think and write here. So, water spills out because we had learned that matter occupies space. To make space for the marbles, the water is spilling out. So, marbles need space. To make space for it, the water is spilling out. Next part of the activity is take another beaker of the same size, completely filled with water. Okay, take another beaker, fill it completely with water. Add some sugar powder of equal to the weight of the 3 marbles. Now, you had 3 marbles, no? Similar weight, you have to take sugar. So, if the 3 marbles were weighing around 5 grams, you have to take 5 grams of sugar. Okay, and then you have to add it to the water. Next, did you find any difference in the water level? Observe and write here. So, did the water spill out? No, the water does not spill out if you add it carefully. Why does the water not spill out? We had already conducted this activity in the previous part of this lesson. The reason why water does not spill out is because the particles of the sugar combine with the water particles. So they form bonds with the water particles. This is why they do not need additional space or volume. Okay, that is why the particles do not spill out. Since the sugar particles have combined with the water particles, water does not spill out. Okay. I will show you an example of what happens when salt is added to water. So, take a look at what is happening. When you're adding salt to the water, the particles, they combine with the water particles. So, the blue color particles you see are water particles and the yellow and red particles you see are the salt particles. When you add it to the water, you can see that it is combining. Okay, so this is why the water does not spill out. Next part of the activity is place a marble on the table, plate, beaker and so on. So you have to take a marble, you have to put it on the table. Next you have to put it on the plate, inside the beaker and so on. Did you find any difference in the shape and size of it? So is it of different shape when you put it on the table? Does it suddenly become another shape when you put it into a beaker? No. So marble will be of the same shape and same size. This is because the shape and size of solids in any place do not change. So solids have the same shape and same size. For the next activity, you need to pour water into a beaker, on a plate, into a polythene bag, etc. Did you find any difference in the shape? So, if you pour water from a water bottle to a cup, you can see that it was in the shape of the bottle first. Then when you pour it into the cup, it becomes the shape of the cup. If you put it into a plate, it will become flat. If you pour it into a polythene bag, it will occupy the same shape, etc. Therefore, liquid takes the shape of the container. However, it does not change in size. Okay, liquids do not change in size. If you have 1 liter of water with you, whether it is in the cup, whether it is in the water bottle, it will always be the same 1 liter. Okay, so liquids take the shape of the container but do not change in size. Next, light an incense stick and allow the smoke to spread inside a jar. What is the shape of the smoke now? So, if you want to find the shape of a gaseous substance, let us do this activity. So, they are asking us to light an incense or an agarbatti stick and then allow its smoke to spread inside a jar. Okay, so you light it and you put it inside a jar. Then let the smoke spread inside the jar. Okay, Then close the lid of the jar. So what is the shape of the smoke now? You can see that it would not have any particular shape. Instead, it would be present inside the entire jar. I'll show you a picture of this. You can see here that there is a jar and they have lit up a incense or an agarbatti stick inside the jar. And if you can see the shape of the smoke, it is starting to occupy the entire jar and it does not have any particular size. Okay? Shape of the smoke now. The smoke does not have any particular shape. This is because gases spread over the entire space of the container and its volume changes. So the volume that is occupied by the gas is the entire space of the container. So gases do not have any particular shape or size. The next activity is to conduct it to know that air has weight. So you have already done this in your chapter air before. In this activity, what is to be done is take a stick of 50 centimeter length. Then tie an air-filled balloon to one of its end and an empty balloon to the other end. Tie a thread at the exact center. So at 25 centimeter from one side, you have to tie a thread and then hold it freely. Okay, so you have to tie a thread in the exact center as shown here and then hold it freely. So you can see that the balloon that is heavier, that is the balloon that is filled, is going to go down. This is because this balloon is heavy because air has weight. You can write your observation here. I will leave that to you. Next, let us conduct another activity. Observe the picture given below, okay, and do this activity with the help of your teacher. So what this activity is doing is, first place a glass beaker filled with water on a plain surface and observe. So you're holding a water bottle or a glass beaker on a plain surface. Then we have to place it on a slant surface and observe. What is going to happen? See that the shape of the water changes. It used to be of this rectangle shape, then it becomes a triangle kind of shape that you can see here. Okay, so the shape of the liquid changes according to the space available in the container. So the shape of the liquid changes according to the container. Now, let us see what happens in case of gases. So if you take the same smoke-filled container and then keep it slant, you can observe that the gas will spread again to occupy the entire shape of the container. Okay, so gases occupies the shape of the container. Now it is time for a quiz. The question is, which state of matter has the same shape and same size? The options are solid, liquid and gases. So which of these three states of matter does not change its shape or size? The correct answer is solid. The solid always has the same shape and the same size. We found this using our experiment where we placed a marble on the table, inside a beaker and on other surfaces. It does not change its shape or size. Let us do the next activity. Fill in the blanks with the suitable words. So the first blank is there are dash states of matter. So we know there are three states of matter. Okay, that is solid, liquid and gas. Next, solid. Does it have specific size? Yes, solid has specific size. Does it have specific shape? Yes, all solids have a specific shape. Next, we have to give an example for a solid. I will give marble as an example. You can give your own example. Okay. Next, liquid. Does liquid have specific size? The answer is yes. The size of the liquid is the same in all the container. The volume does not changes. Okay. Does it have specific shape? The answer is no. Liquids occupy the shape of the container. We have to give an example for a liquid. I am going to give milk. You can give your own example. Okay. Finally, gas. Does it have specific size? We saw that smoke will occupy the entire jar and it does not have any specific size. So the answer is no. Does it have specific shape? No. It will take the shape of the entire container. So gases have no specific shape and no specific size also. Give an example for a gas. I will give smoke as an example. You can give your own example. Okay students, this is the end of part 2 of the lesson Nature of Matter. I will see you all in part 3.